Welcome back to our mid-season showdown here at Psycho Turtle in Pico Rivera, California. I am Dennis Geisler. With me is the chair. We're gonna get into round number 5 of Swiss. Final round, 2 players we have here trying to fight for one of the spots on the bubble. We've got Arnie Wolf and Everett Filloon. Arnie with the Incineroar, Amoonguss, Ursaluna, Urshifu Rapid Strike, Raging Bolt, and for the restricted Lunala, Terra Fairy with Power Herb and Moongeist Beam, Wide Guard, Trick Room, and a Meteor Beam. On Everett's side, Incineroar, Amoonguss in Female, Iron Crown, Urshifu Rapid Strike, and Calyrex Ice Rider, Terra Fire, Clear Amulet with Protect, Trick Room, Glacial Lance, and High Horsepower. I've seen a bit of Arnie's team. I was talking to him about it yesterday. The Lunala with that Power Herb with a Meteor Beam is the goal, basically, to set up around. It's very it's a very moon-based team. It's got the Lunala, it's got the Ursaluna, it's got the Amoonguss. That one's more of a stretch, but on Everett's side, you've got the Psy Spam. You can set up the Psychic Terrain with the Indeedee. It has a Psychic Seed, so it's able to eat Lunala's damage pretty well. Lunala also only has the Meteor Beam and the Moongeist Beam for damage. Other than that, it's just Wide Guard and Trick Room. So any normal types that you can bring against it are really nice. And that includes Indeedee, who will be able to only really take damage from the Meteor Beam, and even then it'll take less damage. Hello, Bidoof. Got the Bidoof in here, as always. On Everett's side, it's going to be the Urshifu Incineroar lead. Arnie will also lead the Incineroar alongside that Lunala. Off the bat, you know that the Lunala here is planning on a Meteor Beam. Question is what Arnie is trying to do apart from that. A lot of more defensive Pokemon here. You've got the Incineroar, Amoonguss, Pivot Core. We've seen a lot of in Regulation F mostly, but we've seen a bit of it in Regulation G, even as the metagame has kind of picked up in pace quite a bit. So definitely a lot of opportunity for these players to kind of pivot around where they're trying to stand. Arnie will switch out the Incineroar. Moongeist will come in here. Does have the Rocky Helmet. Could be a way to block the some of the damage here. Surging Strikes goes into the Lunala. It does have the Shadow Shield. Excuse me, I'm real sneezy over here. There's a dog wandering around earlier. Might be why. Meteor Beam coming out now for Lunala. Got hit by the Surging Strikes, but not hit all that hard, to be totally honest. It kind of ate that. Lunala is really bulky, is something we've discovered. This Meteor Beam will absolutely destroy this Incineroar. Does bring up the Lunala up to +1 on its special attack. That ghost coverage, like mono ghost coverage, is really nice, except against normal types. It can basically cover most everything else. Iron Crown is what's going to come in here. We'll get that booster special attack, I'd imagine. I think that's the only thing you can really get. There it is, the booster special attack for the Iron Crown. Now the question, I think Amoonguss can Rage Powder and pretty cleanly draw away and pressure here, as the Lunala can kind of just dump something with Moongeist Beam. Gonna be doing a lot of damage at this point. It's very bulky, especially with the Shadow Shield, but it also hits really hard. No! Oh, Urshifu. Oh, the humanity. I guess the bear entity. I don't know. Bear. Urshifu is going to take a bunch of damage from the Rocky Helmet hits onto the Amoonguss. Amoonguss will take, like, no damage from that. Actually really eats that. Urshifu goes down to about half HP. See what the Iron Crown goes for here. Attacking on Cutter into the Amoonguss will not pick up the KO. Gets very close, except for the critical hit. I was lying. I lied to you. The critical hit picks it up. On that second hit, Moongeist Beam into the Iron Crown will certainly knock it out, though. That is the second Lunala knockout of this battle. At this point, it's going to be tough for Everett. This has to be the Calyrex now, yeah. It's Terra Fire, so it's not anything more threatening, I guess. Both these teams do have a Trick Room angle, which is interesting. Lunala and the Calyrex also both pack Trick Room individually. And the Intimidate not going to do a whole lot. Urshifu is locked into Surging Strikes for the rest of the battle, but that's not a bad thing, particularly. See, the Calyrex wants to go for here is it's basically the only out here for Everett, but not a terrible out. It's gonna need 3 hits probably to get rid of everything, at least, maybe more. No Shadow Shield on the Lunala. It's gonna be difficult. I don't know if Lunala will take a hit. We'll find out. Calyrex deals some real damage. Got that Glacial Lance and all. We can get the Terastal here from the Calyrex. Go Terra Fire. Going to at least take away the weakness to Moongeist Beam. Where we'll fake out the Urshifu. And I believe Lunala is going to finish that Urshifu off. It is faster than the Calyrex. Lunala does have the Trick Room, does sometimes go for that angle. It is still base 97 speed, so it is not going to underspeed that Calyrex anytime soon. And the Glacial Lance comes out now. How much will this do to Lunala? Not enough to knock out, and that might be it for game number 1. If the Glacial Lance had come through, you can maybe see an angle, but in this case, I don't think it's there anymore. It'd be tough. Will be an interesting one. There is a lot to play around here, and it is the fact that Wide Guard also exists for Arnie, for that Lunala. Going to be a switch out, or Saloon is going to come in here. Lunala will go for the Wide Guard, and that might be ideal, actually, is bringing in the Lunala, or excuse me, the Ursaluna. Getting hit by high horsepower, but Ursaluna takes that pretty comfortably, and with the Wide Guard, you stop a Glacial Lance, which would take down both these Pokemon, while the Headlong Rush certainly knocks out the Calyrex. I think that's the play here. I think that's the game plan, and I think it'll work for Arnie. We'll see, though. This battle should end here. This game number 1, round 5. Both these players at 2 and 2. A win puts them closer to a top cut possibility. I know Arnie's in that area. Yeah, the Glacial Lance going to get blocked by the Wide Guard. Glad we got the animation for both of them. And Ursaluna is going to use that Headlong Rush into the Calyrex, finish it off. Arnie with the game 1 victory. Yeah, I know Arnie's resistance is pretty good. So a decent chance of making it through with a win here. Obviously, depending on everyone else's resistance and how the rest of the game round 5 battles go, but not sure however it, whatever its opponents are. I just haven't asked. I can't read all of them. There are like 30 people here, which is really cool on one hand, like a lot of people here. But also, there are like 30 people here. I can't memorize every single matchup of every single round. That's like, what, 15 times 5? That's like 75 matchups to memorize over the course of the tournament. I can't do that. That's too many. Going into game number 2, we saw the lead of Lunala Incineroar last time work pretty well for Arnie. Lunala just never really was under much threat, and interestingly, the Lunala is kind of capable of playing both a like main damager role and kind of the side utility role, where it can go and be the Wide Guard person to back up the Ursaluna, but it can also be the primary, I'm doing Moongeist Beams and getting you out of the way. On Everett's side, I think you've got to bring out that NBD. Maybe not lead it necessarily, but you've got to have it there. Excuse me. You have to have it there. I think it's the only thing that really answers Lunala comfortably. Even though it's not like a perfect answer or anything, it's still like, it still is immune to Moongeist Beam, and that's most important. For anyone playing against Lunala at home, that's what I've noticed is most important. And we'll see the switch up here. Gonna get the Psychic Terrain up, gonna get the Iron Crown rolling. We're gonna get Indeedee in here. Now I think something like, because it's tough because of Shadow Shield. Shadow Shield can't break through it turn number 1. Potentially could go for a Tachyon Cutter from the Iron Crown to try to break it and then do a little bit of damage on top of it. But it still isn't an ideal turn 1 and still could result in Indeedee dropping turn 1. Everett could also go for the Trick Room. Not really sure what the speed tiers are between both the Crown and the Lunala. Regardless, Iron Crown with the Tachyon Cutter, as I mentioned, up against Lunala does okay damage. Not great damage, but okay damage. Cinnamon with the Parting Shot, going to head out onto the Indeedee. Drop the Indeedee stats, but that's not important. It's Indeedee. And there is the Ursaluna coming back in here. And Lunala is actually going to be the one going for the Trick Room as Ursaluna comes in and gets its Flame Orb activated. So this could actually be really dangerous for Everett. And now Arnie in a pretty nice spot where Ursaluna's a huge threat. I'm not sure what you do about that. And it is the Sword Stance Ursaluna variant as well if you want to get super greedy with it. But I don't think you have to. I think you can just start hitting. Particularly to get rid of the Indeedee, which then leaves Lunala pretty open to clicking Moongeist Beam on everything else. I'm gonna see the Terra on Everett's side. I believe that, yeah, that will be the Iron Crown Terra Fire, not Terra Water. I was anticipating Terra Water. Means it is no longer weak to... I kind of don't like this, because it's weak to all the stuff that it's still weak to, but not weak to this. I don't know. I don't really agree with this. Wide Guard used will block the Expanding Force, but not anything else. Ursaluna will Facade into the Indeedee. Yeah, that's absolutely going to take that thing down. No more Indeedee now, and if it's the Expanding Force, it is the Tachyon Cutter into the Ursaluna. That's going to be close with the burn damage. It goes down to 1 HP, but the burn's going to finish it off, yeah. So, Ursaluna got its job done, though. It got the Indeedee out of the way, and it got the Terra out of the Iron Crown, which is a very strange choice. But it now means Lunala is going to be able to Meteor Beam into the Iron Crown pretty comfortably, probably take it out, even. And here's Calyrex. This will be difficult to play around now, though, as the Glacial Lance is in play. It is going to be scary, and in Trick Room, that Calyrex is certainly slower. And it is Terra Fire Calyrex, so it's not immune to Spore, which is the big concern here. As the Moongeist can come in and make a guy sleepy. There's the Amoonguss Spore into the Calyrex, going to make that thing sleepy. Takes its first sleep turn, the guaranteed sleep turn, but this Terra Blast coming out actually, most likely into the Amoonguss. Gotta get that out of the way as quickly as possible, I suppose. And that is certainly pretty fast. Still, it might come down to a Wake Up on the Spore. And this Meteor Beam, I'm pretty sure this Meteor Beam will just take down the Iron Crown. I don't want to say it and then be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is just going to destroy this Iron Crown. Indeed it does. Goodbye, Iron Crown, and now it will probably come down to whether the Calyrex wakes up this turn. We'll see what comes in. I think it's probably Incineroar. Probably Incineroar. Could be something else, but it's probably Incineroar. It is Incineroar. Oh, well, no, that's Arnie's Incineroar. On the other side is it It is Urshifu, actually. That makes more sense. And I think we saw Urshifu doesn't get rid of Lunala here, but it's going to get hit by Fake Out anyways. It'll come down to the Calyrex Wake Up. It really will. Although Urshifu, we'll see. That's my, that's the Dennis guarantee. We will definitely see. And also, definitely the opportunity to go for a Flare Blitz or a knockoff or something along those lines against the Calyrex to just do peak damage to that thing. Or even try but that's scary. I guess if Incineroar is still standing against the Calyrex, you have a really nice matchup there. Not a really nice one, but like a pretty good one. There's the Flare Blitz into the Urshifu. That did nothing at all. Just no damage. I think knockoff might have been stronger. Moongeist Beam, will this finish off the Urshifu? If it doesn't, that could be a pretty big misplay for Arnie. It does get it. Does pick up the knockout. And I believe Calyrex stayed asleep, if I was paying attention properly. It did. And that should mean that Arnie is going to be able to pick up this one. With the 2-0 victory, most likely. Wide Guard will be able to block the Glacial Lance, and the Incineroar will do much damage against the against that Calyrex. There's the Terra Ghost to take away the weakness to high horsepower. Takes away the resistance to Glacial Lance, but that don't matter because of Wide Guard. And Calyrex, another turn of sleep. That's 3. The Bidoof so excited. Knockoff, not a whole lot of damage actually. Does get the Clear Amulet out of there, not that mattered too much. Twisted Dimensions return to normal. The weirdness disappears from the battlefield, and it should be easy enough for Moongeist Beam to finish this one out. Arnie with the 2-0 victory over Everett. We'll move on to 3 and 2. We'll get to that big mix for top cut. Everett down to 2 and 3, but everyone getting a lot of really valuable experience. We've got the MSS tomorrow, then we've got LA Regionals, and everyone's working towards learning what to do in the LA Regionals, trying to get their best placement there. As a lot of the people here wanting to show up at their local regional, trying to make that work. We're going to take a quick break. On the other end, me and my very cool chair friend will be back for top 8. So you're not going to want to miss that.